This is going to be a quick bokeh test of the Canon 50mm f1.0 L lens. This lens is no longer in production, but you can find it used on eBay for about $4,000 to $5,000 depending on the condition. Okay, so right now we are focusing on the leaf, which is about 60 centimeters away at f16. The fence at the background, that's about 10 meters away. At f16 we can pretty much make out everything. The fence obviously is not in focus. But what we're going to do now is we're going to open up the aperture and see what kind of bokeh we can get. So f16. That's one stop, so now we are at f11. Just waiting for the wind to stop. Opening up more. We get f8. 5.6. And right now the background looks pretty blurred to me. The bokeh looks pretty good here. Keep going. That's f4. That's f2.8. So that's the fastest that you can get with a zoom lens on full frame at this time. That's f2, f1.8, f1.4. So that's pretty, f1.4, that's pretty reasonably fast. Canon does f1.2, but Nikon only does f1.4 for autofocus lens. There is no f1.2 autofocus lens with Nikon. So this is f1.2. Not much difference, just 1/3 of light. Again, this is 1.4, this is 1.2. Now, the new lens that Canon has for 50mm, or the newer one, that's the flagship, that's as fast as it goes. But this legacy lens can go beyond it. We can open up further. This is f1.1 and f1.0. Not much difference, but there is some subtle differences. So again, let me just go back to f1.1 and f1.2, and then back to f1.1 and 1.0. Some very subtle differences between the two. Okay, so now we can see the very shallow depth of field, nothing is in focus. What I can do now is I can move the focus plane. Right now we are pretty much at minimum focusing distance. I can move it to infinity and back. So let me slowly move the focusing plane. So this is 70 centimeters, 80, 90, 1 meter, 1.2, 1.5, 2 meters, 3 meters, 5 meters, 10 meters. Around here, that's roughly where the fence is, but let me just go all the way to infinity. And then I will move it down to about, let's say, let me see, somewhere about, let's say somewhere here. So that's about 6 meters or so, 6 to 7 meters away. And what I can do now is I can stop down the lens and see how much stuff we can get in focus. So right now, it's a very, very shallow depth of field. If we go to f1.1, get slightly more, and this is f1.2. (1.6), 1.8, f2, f2.8, f4, f5.6, so we're getting more in focus, f8, f11, and finally f16. Looks pretty good here. So this lens, for still photography, it's not sharp. The center gets reasonably sharp around f5.6. f4 is pretty good as well. But the edge, it's terrible no matter how much you stop down. The f1.2 lens is better in basically all regards except for not having the f1.0 and f1.1. Okay, so now I can move the focus plane from infinity to minimum focusing distance, and we can see how much depth of field we have. So this is at infinity, and now if I go to minimum focusing distance, that's how much depth of field there is. You can pretty much see a lot of depth of field. Now if I go down to f5.6 and repeat, so going to infinity, that's 2 meters, 5 meters, 10 meters, and then all the way to infinity. Repeat one more time. Let's go all the way to 2.8 and repeat. One meter and 60, 70, 60 centimeters. Okay, and now we can try it at 1.4. And finally at 1.0. The beautiful shallow depth of field. So just for comparison sake, right now I'm recording this at ISO 100 at f1.0, 2050 of a second. And this is in the shade. So if it was in bright sunlight, I will not be able to use f1.0 without our filter. It will be, the aperture is just too big. Like the shutter speed will exceed 8,000 of a second. Even if you use ISO 50, it's not enough. I've tried it with f1.2 lenses. So f1.0, you'll need a shutter speed that is like 16,000 of a second. And these cameras just can't do it. So you definitely need a filter if you're shooting in bright sunlight. Alright, that's it for the bokeh review. Thanks.